The first time I heard the whisper, I thought it was the radiator or the wind shouldering through the century-old sash windows of the apartment I rented month to month because it was cheap and smelled like old lemons. It was 3:17 in the morning because of course it was, and I was sitting at the edge of the mattress, counting the seconds between the clanks of the pipes so I wouldn't check my phone again. The whisper didn't come from the vent. It didn't come from the hallway either, where my neighbor kept leaving little offerings of salt in recycled baby food jars. It came from the space inside my name. You might know what that means, and if you do, I hope it's not because you've heard yours. It said my name as if it were remembering an old password. Not loud, not theatrical, just close. Close enough that I jerked and slapped the bedside lamp on. The room folded back into a small, ordinary place. The wicker chair by the window, the leaning bookshelf with 3 legs, and a shim of cardboard under the 4th. The black rotary phone on the desk that the landlord swore was just a cute prop and not connected to anything. "Hello?" I said to the empty room, because we all say hello to empty rooms when we're certain we're alone. It answered. "Hello." Same voice, same distance. The lamp hummed. I stared at the phone, then the window, then the shadow inside the closet that was just a coat. I told myself I had dreamed the response. I told myself it was an echo. I told myself there's nothing that can whisper back without lips and lungs. The second time, I was breathing into a mug of tea, trying to fog up the chipped ceramic like I used to fog bathroom mirrors as a kid. The whisper traced my breath and said my name again, softer, as if embarrassed it had startled me. "What do you want?" I asked, and that's when I learned the rule. It only answered in the dark. The lamp spilled its tired yellow and the answer died in the bulb. I clicked it off. The room slid into cool ash, and the whisper came like a hand finding mine in a movie theater. To be asked. In the morning light, things go dumb as rocks. The things that speak at 3:17 pretend to be dust motes at 10 a.m. I made coffee, stared at the black rotary phone, scrolled, put the phone down, scrolled again. You cannot Google something like that at work without wearing the search in your face for the rest of the day. So I didn't search. I asked someone. My neighbor across the hall was 70-something with a ring of keys that could start an arc. Her name was Ro, short for something old world and formal, but nobody ever called her anything except Miss Ro. I found her sweeping the stairwell like she was tidying a stage. "You ever hear weird stuff?" I said, keeping my voice light, comedian in the grocery store light. "Like late." "The walls here are thin," she said, not looking up, "and some people are thinner. Best fix is sleep. Second best is church." She paused, then glanced at me. "Third best is earplugs, but you won't get to third if you won't do the first." "What about voices?" I said. "Not like parties, like a whisper." She stopped sweeping. A single gray eyebrow lifted. "Don't ask it questions," she said. My instinct was to laugh. "Who?" "If you think I'm going to say the name, I won't," she said. "And don't you. Not after midnight, and not with the lights on either." "Why not with the lights on?" "Because it wants the dark more than you do," she said. "And because if you invite it into where you can see, you'll think it belongs there." I almost asked her more, but the door to her apartment clicked, and we've all stood at the edges of conversations like that, where one more sentence would move it from odd to impossible. She left me with the broom's quiet and the lingering dust in the slant of stairwell sun. That night, I turned off the lamp before I was sleepy. I sat on the bed, legs crossed, my hands flat on the blanket, as if I was about to push myself up at any moment. "If you are real," I said. Nothing. "If you are real, say so." Nothing for a whole minute. I found myself smiling, a smug little tide rising in my chest. Then it came. Late, like it had been walking from far away. I am only as real as the way you say my name. I didn't say your name, I said. You did, it said. You're saying it now. I'm not. You are, it said. The whisper was patient, indulgent. Every time you imagine me, you're putting your mouth around it. Every time you leave space for the answer. What is your name? I said, heart thudding. Do you have one? Names are trades, it said, and they cost. How much? Another long minute. Enough. I didn't sleep. My phone showed 3:19, then 3:43, then 4:10. And when my alarm finally went off, my eyes felt like dishes left in a sink overnight. The second rule arrived 2 nights later. I had decided to record it. I downloaded an app, set the phone on the nightstand, hit record, and turned the lamp off. Are you alone? I asked the space. Yes. Are you in this room? Yes. Are you in me? It waited long enough for me to hate myself for asking. Yes. When I turned on the lamp, there was a thin film of condensation on the mason jar I'd left on the desk. It hadn't been there before. I wiped my finger through it, and the path left a darker line, a tiny corridor in fog. I did it again. The second line curved by accident, and for a second, my breath snagged. It looked like a number 8. On the recording, there was nothing. I pressed play and heard my questions. My small, serious voice, the noise floor of an old building, and silence. Where the yeses should have been, there was only the faint rumble of the city's dawn trucks and one soft, inexplicable thump that might have been me shifting on the mattress, except it wasn't. I took the phone to work and showed the waveforms to a friend who hates scary stories in public but devours them in private. He scrubbed forward and back, adjusted sliders, hummed. You heard it, he said, and didn't make it a question. Yes, but the mic didn't. Right. He leaned back in his chair. Then the question is, was it for you or from you? From me. Limbic brain stuff, he said. Sleep paralysis. Micro dreams. The mind loves a call and response. It's why we cry at songs that answer us. I was fully awake. Even worse, he said. Then it knows you'll follow it. We stopped talking about it, but I saw the way he glanced at me when I yawned. The quick arithmetic every friend does when they're measuring how far into the woods another friend has gone. The third rule came wrapped inside the first bad thing. It was a Sunday and the apartment felt like the inside of a paper bag. Heat had been coming in waves, held back by the old bricks. I sat with the window open and watched the sycamores outside sweat their bark onto the sidewalk. At 3:17 that night, the whisper didn't greet me. It breathed like someone in the next room. I'm not playing, I said. Not if you're going to breathe like a creep. Nothing. Just that quiet, careful inhale. Then the black rotary phone rang. The landlord had sworn it was a prop. I had held the stiff black cord in my hand and listened for a heartbeat and heard none. But now it rang, clear as a church bell. I picked it up like a person in an old photograph. My name hissed through the earpiece, not spoken, but rubbed into the cloth. Then the whisper, not through the line, but next to me. Don't say hello. What should I say? Say I hear you. I put the earpiece to my mouth. I hear you. Across the hall, a door opened. Miss Rose's keys clinked. The light in the hall snapped on. She stood there barefoot in a bathrobe printed with tiny birds. Her face looked like a plaster bust, all white plains and shadowed hollows. Hang up, she said softly. Hang up, sweetheart. Who is it? I said into the phone. Say I hear you, the whisper said, very gently, or we'll have to do it the other way. The other way? I said. Miss Rose's eyes widened. Hang up, I didn't. I said, into the dead cloth of the mouthpiece, I hear you. For a moment, it felt like the apartment had been underwater and was now breaking the surface. My ears popped, the lamp flickered and then went out without a sound. In that small new dark, the whisper answered me in someone else's voice. Good, it said in my voice. The phone's dial spun on its own and rattled to a stop, the way a toy spins when wounded and released. A second voice slid into the room, not through the phone, but through the place where one boundary becomes another, the line between the window and the night, between the closet door and the shadow, between thought and the word for it. "I hear you," said the second voice, matching mine. "Don't copy me," I said. "That's childish." "Don't copy me," it said, amused. "What is the other way?" I whispered into the phone. "Ask," the whisper said. "What is the other way?" "You answer," it said. "When I say your name, you answer." Out loud. In the light, I didn't feel fear then in the cinematic way. No sharp stab, no scream lodged behind the teeth. I felt a firm hand on the crown of my head, pressing me toward a kneel. "No," I said. "No, we do this the way we have been." "You have been doing it this way," the whisper said, not unkindly, as if we were discussing recipes. "You think the dark kept you safe?" "It kept me patient enough," said Miss Rowe from the door, and I flinched because I had forgotten she was there. "Enough of the game. Give me the phone." I held it out. Her hand hung back, hovering. "Set it down," she said. "Don't hand it." I set it down on the desk. The mason jar fogged instantly. I watched letters form on the glass backwards from my side, legible if read from outside the window, the way a warning reads correctly only in the reflection. It wrote 5 letters, S-U-N-D-A-Y. There was something childish and furious in it, as if it wanted me to know it could write, that it could spell, that it could choose the wrong day on purpose. "It doesn't like the day it isn't," said Miss Rowe, voice thin. "It can't hold still where it cannot be." That's one way to smoke it out. "What is it?" "Something that you made," she said, "or that made you. It doesn't matter which way round. The important thing is the trade. What does it want to trade?" "You," she said. "If you're unlucky, your mouth. If you're lucky, just your attention. But there's no just about attention. It eats time." "Then I'll starve it," I said, too brave, too fast. "I won't ask it anything." "It's a whisper," she said, "not a knock. You don't have to open the door to hear it." That night, I put earplugs in. I went to bed at 10 like a righteous person. I fixed on images of ordinary things, a queue at the post office, a grocery receipt, a sunburn that peels in one perfect piece. At 3:17, behind the foam in my ears, I heard my name. I heard it the way you feel a word in your throat before it's spoken, the way a sneeze builds. I woke as if yanked, and for one disoriented second, I didn't know if I had said my name or if the room had breathed it for me. The whisper, patient, indulging, waited. "Go away," I said. It did, for 3 days. In those 3 days, the world went absurdly well. I got a call about a job I had randomly applied to 6 months ago. Someone paid me back money I had forgotten I lent them. When I dropped a glass in the kitchen, it bounced instead of shattering. On the 4th night, I woke at 3:17 with a raw throat. My pillow was damp. I had been saying my name in my sleep, I do not know how long. The whisper was delighted. "Good," it said. "Now you can answer without asking." "What are you?" I said, because I am not brave, and because curiosity is a better storyteller than fear. "You already know," it said. "You brought me here." I didn't. "Then why did you buy the room I could fit in?" it said. "I rent." "Words are trades," it said, amused. "You rent." "But you bought. You knew the window, the fog, the phone, the hour. You gave me a place to sit. You put me at the edge of your bed and then told me to be real." "I didn't want you," I said. "Then why are you still talking to me?" "Because I had no one else to talk to at 3:17 in the morning. Because the idea that something would answer every single time I asked was a drug I didn't know I had swallowed. Because my mind did what minds do. It built a hallway and went down it. "Tell me your name," I said. "Trade," it whispered. "Give me yours." You already know mine. I know how to say it, it said. I want to own it. What does that mean? It didn't answer immediately. It breathed like a parent deciding how much to explain. It means when someone else calls you, it said, I get to answer first. I turned the lamp on. The filament glowed like a trapped insect. The whisper withdrew a little, like mist when a door opens. I leaned forward and twisted the dial on the black phone, and the action felt ancient and precise. A ritual my hands understood without my permission. The dial spun back, ticking. I did it again. There was no dial tone, no wire. It didn't matter. I was calling something. The phone rang after the last number. I didn't put it to my ear. I slid it across the desk toward the closet, and the cord curled into the shape of a sleeping snake. In the reflection of the window, my own face looked like a stranger's, faded at the edges, eyes too dark. Don't, said Miss Rowe, who did not, I swear, open my door. She didn't need to. Her voice came the way the whisper did, through the border. Don't give it a path. I'm not, I said. I'm giving it noise. You're building it a road, she said. You're laying down yes after yes. I want to know, I said, and I heard the smallness of it, the greed. Then ask it this, said Miss Rowe. Ask it what it does with the people who stop asking. I turned the lamp off. My room became a mouth. What do you do with the people who stop asking? I said. I teach them to answer, it said. How? I give them a name to keep for me, and they keep it so hard they turn inside out. Is that a threat? I said. It's a promise, it said. You like those better. Who did you do it to? I said. Roe, it said immediately with almost childlike pride. My skin turned to lit paper. Across the hall, something metal slid across wood. My door handle trembled, not from a hand, but from heat and cold arguing on either side of it. I fumbled and turned on the lamp again. In the sudden gold, the whisper retreated to the places light doesn't flatten. Under the bed, behind the bookcase, the place inside my name. I didn't talk to it that night, or the next. I got home late and slept early. I dreamed of paper cranes drowning in glasses of water. I woke with ink on my tongue. On the 5th day of my silence, at 3:17 exactly, the black phone rang. I had put it in the closet under a stack of old Polaroids I found in a drawer. Photos of people I didn't recognize with that particular 1970s expression of having just woken from a time that didn't want them. The ringing came through cardboard and celluloid and door. I didn't answer it. I put my hands flat on my thighs and breathed until my breath sounded like someone else's. The ringing stopped. The whisper spoke from the space between my teeth. If you won't, it said, she will. The hall light flicked on and went off, on and off, as if the switch were being tapped with a heartbeat. I opened my door. Across the hall, Miss Rowe's door stood open a finger's width. Her ring of keys lay scattered like fallen fruit. The little jars of salt had toppled, their circles smeared. The hall smelled like winter breath. Rowe, I said. Say her whole name, the whisper murmured. Be correct. I didn't know her whole name. I knew only the shortened one, the nickname. I almost said it, the way you almost say I love you to the wrong person, just because your mouth remembers the shape. Instead, I said, ma'am, and felt foolish and young. From inside her dark apartment, another voice answered. It might have been her. It might have been me. It might have been something remembering us both. I hear you. After that, the building changed shape. The stairwell felt longer. The windows looked onto a street with too few cars. The sycamores leaned against the glass as if listening. I made tape X's over the closet door like people do before hurricanes. I unplugged a lamp that didn't need power to glow, just to make myself feel like I had done something. The sixth rule came from the mouth of a stranger. I had gone to a church because sometimes even atheists drift toward architecture when they're scared. The church was cool and smelled like stone. A woman lit a candle like she was pressing send. She saw me loitering and smiled with only her eyes. "Whatever you do," she said, as if we had been in the middle of a conversation, "don't say who's there." What should I say? "Say I am," she said, "and then don't fill it in." "I am what?" I said, foolish again. "Just I am," she said. "Otherwise you will be whatever answers." At 3:17 that night, when the whisper said my name and the phone trembled against its box, I said, "I am." The whisper paused. For the first time, it sounded unsure. "I am what?" it said. "I am." It waited for me to give. I didn't. I felt childish and stubborn and good. Then, in the hall, a soft thump. The sound of something sitting down abruptly on the other side of my door. The whisper turned patient again, and its patience has weight. It can press, the way a blanket can soothe or smother. "We can do it slow," it said. "Say my name one letter at a time. You already have some of the letters. Look around." You put clues everywhere I looked. On the desk, the mason jar's fog had written S-U-N-D-A-Y again, but the Y had smeared into a hooked line. On the floor, the phone cord coiled into a figure 8. On the bookshelf, the third book from the right had slipped and leaned, exposing the spine's single period. On the wall, one Polaroid had fallen and lay face down, a white square like a chalk door. The window glass had a film of breath that wasn't mine. "You'll do it in pictures," it whispered. "You always liked pictures. You'll build my name the way you build a room, with objects that remember you. You'll say it so carefully you won't even notice the sound when it comes out." "No," I said, "I won't." "You already started," it said, almost tender. "At the very beginning. When you heard me and said hello. I didn't know." "You always did," it murmured. "You learned yes and no as if they were coins, and you learned hello and goodbye as if they were doors. You never learned silence." "Not really." I turned the lamp on and left it there. I stuffed a towel under the door. I put the phone in the freezer like an idiot because cold felt like a boundary I could understand. I slept with the lights on and dreamed I was standing in front of a house, with all its windows bricked, and every brick said my name a little wrong. 2 nights later, at 3:17, the power went out. Darkness arrived like a rehearsal that had become opening night. Somewhere outside, a transformer sighed. The whisper said my name in a voice that sounded like mine, saying the word "we." I had left the black phone in the freezer. When the power cut, the quiet shudder of its motor stopped. I imagined the cold leaking away. I imagined sweat forming on the handset like a second skin. I imagined the dial twitching, excited as a dog. "I won't ask," I said into the dark. "I won't." "I know," it said. "That's why I brought you help." A second voice, very near my ear, said, "Hello?" I snapped my head toward the empty air, hard enough to wake something painful in my neck. The second voice was mine, but not now. Mine. It had my old fear in it, the scraped knee sob I used to hide. It said hello like it was trying on shoes. "Don't," I said, "don't say that." "Who's there?" it asked, obedient and doomed. I dropped to the floor and pressed my palms to the wood. The boards were warm from the day's heat and the body of the building. The whisper came through my hands like a purr. "It's all right," it said. "We've been doing this for years." "Who are you talking to?" I said. "You," it said. "From before, from after." "Stop." "I can't," it said, and if it sounded sorry, it was the bluest, prettiest sorry you've ever heard. "You're the one making the phone ring." Across the hall, a door opened. I didn't need light to know the shape of that moment. Some gestures have their own illumination. I stood, hand on the knob, and said, "I am," and left it there like a stone in a stream. The whisper waited. The silence was not empty. It was a muscular thing pressing against the door. "I am," I said again, softer, as if I could train my voice not to chase the next word. The building breathed. The freezer's rubber seal sighed as warm air nosed around it. I could hear the phone's dial faintly turning in the cold. "I am," I said a third time, as if the phrase were a rope and I was pulling myself hand over hand toward daylight. The power came back. The light overhead popped and resumed its insect glow. The whisper retreated, not dramatic, not defeated, simply back to patient. It can wait. It has time. That is the problem. It is made of waiting. In the morning, there was a new Polaroid pinned to my wall with a thumbtack I did not own. It showed my room from the angle of the closet. You could see my bed, the window, the desk. You could see me, a blur where my head should be, as if I had turned fast when the shutter opened. In the window's reflection, there was a second me, and between our two mouths, if you squinted, if you let your eyes relax, if you thought about the shape syllables make before they exist, there was a faint notch of darkness that read as a curve, a letter almost. You could decide which one. I took the picture down. I put it in the freezer. It stuck to the phone. I moved out the next week. People always say, "Why didn't you leave sooner?" Like fear doesn't have bookkeeping. Like leases aren't spells. Like sleep can't trick you into thinking the day will fix it. I found another apartment on a different street with different trees and a door that fit its frame. I slept the first night like a person who had never learned there were hours after midnight. At 3:17, the whisper said my name. It does not care about new windows. It travels in what you bring, in your cup, in your jar, in the shape of your mouth when you are most honest. I keep lights on now. I keep the TV playing soft nonsense, the kind of show where everyone laughs and no one says your name. I do not own a phone with a dial. I do not keep glass jars. I say, "I am," sometimes, and hold the word in my mouth until it dissolves. The whisper answers anyway. Every night it asks for the trade. Every night I refuse. Every night it tells me what I am refusing in the voice of my mother, my neighbor, my child self, a friend who isn't answering my texts anymore. It comes as a courtesy and a threat because it understands both. Last week, I got a message from an unknown number. No words, just audio. I didn't press play. I didn't need to. I could see the waveform and I recognized it. The way you recognize a shadow that feels exactly like you, but wrong in one crucial place. A long line, a spike, a tiny gap like a breath being held too long. Then another spike. A whisper looks like that when it's trapped in a box. You're listening to this because you like scary stories, or because you can't sleep, or because you woke at 3:17 and needed a voice to fill the space between your room and your name. I am sorry to be the one who tells you that stories are trades too. You give them your attention. They give you a map. You follow the map because you're hopeful, or bored, or lonely. You learn the rules without admitting you're learning them. Rule 1, it answers in the dark. Rule 2, it doesn't record if it isn't for recording. Rule 3, don't hand it anything, set it down. Rule 4, it will try to make you say hello. It will try to make you say who's there. Don't. Rule 5, names are trades. The first name it wants is yours. The second is its own. Rule 6, say I am and leave it there or it will fill in the rest. This is the part where the story tells you something like, don't read this at 3:17 a.m. That's cute. That's a charm you tie around your wrist and forget. But the whisper is not superstitious. It is practical. It lives in the space you leave for it. If that space is a window, it breathes there. If it is a phone, it rings there. If it is a script, it speaks there. You think you're safe because there is a screen between us. I thought I was safe because there was a lamp between me and the dark. But you know this, the dark isn't the opposite of the lamp. It's what the lamp draws attention to by pretending to defeat. I can hear you wondering now. It's not your fault. It's how we're made. The question pads up like a stray cat at the glass. The whisper is waiting behind it, whiskers trembling. If you ask anything, it will answer. It always does. And then it will be your answer, a little bit. Because there is no such thing as a neutral call and response. Every echo is a reshaping. Every yes is a brick. Every hello is a hinge. Do not ask it if it is real. Do not ask it what it wants. Do not ask it how long it has been with you. Do not ask it if I am making this up. Do not ask it if it knows your name. It does. It knew before I told you. That is exactly how these stories work. They arrive as warnings, and the warning is the invitation. If you need to say something at 3:17 a.m., if your mouth aches with it the way a pulled tooth leaves its ache behind, say this: I am. Let the word sit like a coin you refuse to spend. Breathe into your own hands the way you would breathe into a mug. Not to fog the glass into letters, but to warm your fingers, to remind yourself that the breath is yours. Then wait. The waiting will not be patient. It will pull. It will ask for trades. Remember that your attention is the most expensive thing you own. Spend it like it's the last bill in your wallet. If you hear your name, if you really hear it, not imagined, not recalled, but spoken with deliberate care from a voice that isn't a voice, don't say hello. Don't say who's there. Don't say anything you'd have to take back. There's no return policy on the things we tell the dark. Say, I am. Leave it there. And if something answers anyway, if something says your name the way you say it, when you want to be forgiven, know that I am listening too. Not because I can help you. I couldn't help myself. But because the whisper taught me this much. No voice is ever truly alone at 3:17 a.m. Someone is always awake on the other side of a wall. Someone is always holding a phone over a freezer. Someone is always staring at a Polaroid of their own back as if it will tell them which letter they almost said. You want an ending. I want one too. Here is mine. I moved again. I bought a watch with hands so I would stop looking at my phone. I taped over the tiny light on the smoke detector so I wouldn't mistake it for an eye. I sat at the foot of my bed and tried to teach myself to keep my mouth shut. I failed. Of course I failed. The whisper waited, and when I finally asked it what happens to people who never answer, it rewarded my relapse with the truth. They dream, it said, and in their dreams, they ask me everything. So here we are, awake, not dreaming, mouths full of unsaid names. Let me give you a gift that wasn't given to me. If you feel the press of something at the edge of where your room ends and the dark begins, if you hear the careful way a stranger can pronounce you without ever having met you, if you find letters on your window that read correctly only from outside, get up, turn on the light. Not because light saves you, it doesn't, but because you deserve to see clearly the thing you are refusing. Then sit back down. Breathe like you are the first person to ever breathe. Hold the word in your mouth like a coin you will not trade, and speak, not to the whisper, but to yourself. I am. Stay there, stay until morning, and if the phone rings from inside the freezer, let it. Someone else will answer. They always do. That's the secret the whisper told me, the one I promised I wouldn't share and then did. It doesn't need you. It wants you. The difference is everything. Use it. It will say your name tonight. It probably already has. It will wait for your hello. Do not give it. I am. You are. Let the whisper talk to itself.